Hello, welcome to my channel. In last video, I explained what is a map, and this is the second video. I will explain why JavaScript create WeakMap. Okay, and I will first compare WeakMap with a map, and this is gonna relate it to the weak reference and the strong reference. Okay, I will also cover why not primitive values as a key in WeakMap, and also why in WeakMap there's no methods to get entire WeakMap's keys and for iterations or the entries. Okay, now let's take a look at the first one. WeakMap is also a collection to store key value pairs, and here we know object can also store key value pairs. Why not object, right? And I explained this one in the map too, because in object the keys can only be strings, cannot be object. This is the same reason as the map. Okay, in case you didn't watch my videos about the map, I will explain here again. Object keys are only strings. Okay, now I will go to Visual Studio Code. This is a WeakMap demo. I will add a separation here. Demos for second WeakMap video. Okay, so I know. Now here, one example. Suppose here I have a person. P1, because here I have a person here again. Okay, I have to use another one, and this person has a full name, and for this full name, here let me use the age first. Okay, age is 20. Okay, that's my age. Can you believe? Then here I will have a P1, and as we know, it's gonna print what? It's gonna print age and 20. Okay, now let me show you in the browser. I'll put it here. Now I will make the window split to the right and left and right. I don't know the shortcut for that. Okay, you will see an object has 20. Okay, 20, and the key is age. Okay, now if I have a const full name. Okay, and this full name has the first name, and which is Miss, and have a last name, and which is Xing, and I want the P1 also have a property. The key is a full name, the value is something. Okay, so we can do is like this way, full name, and here is a great. Okay, great. But we can only do like this way, because if I use a full name, then you will see what? You will see P1 have a two property. One is age, one is a full name. It won't use this variable. I want this variable full name as a key, which is a hold the entire one. But if I do like this way, you will just see have age and full name, right? It won't use this variable. If I want to do, I can do like this way. Okay, I do like this way. Then it's gonna be what? It's gonna be using this variable, and you will see what? You will see object. Okay. This syntax is same as this one, P1, and you do like this way, full name, and you give give something. Let me do another one. Okay, suppose I have an address. How about that? Address and equals an object. Address like this equals and here I will have another address. Const address is a variable. Okay, state. Okay, and which is I live in Iowa. Probably you never heard about it. And country, and let's use US. Okay, now this syntax to retrieve as this key as this one is the same as like this way. But if I do like this way, you won't see the grid. You will only see ha 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 ha, and the key is object because it's gonna replace. See here, gonna be ha ha ha. The reason is because what? Inside the JavaScript object, when you use object or when you use anything except a string, okay, as a key, and it's gonna automatically convert into a string. So for all the object, when we convert into string, the default value is object. So the first time you will get a grid, and when you do again, like this one, when you do again, it's gonna be update the value. If I don't have this part, you will see grid, okay? You will see grid. But if I have this one, you will see what? You will see ha ha ha, because this key is object. This key is also object, and it's gonna be update, okay? And this object, suppose I have a number like a 1 as the AB hello, and you probably think this 1 is the key, right? No, this one will, the number is gonna be also converted into what? String. It's gonna be a string 1. See here, this one is a string 1, okay? It's not the number 1. That's a problem, which is object. You cannot have the keys, which is a number type, or big int, or symbol, or object. It can only be string type. That's why we have a map, and that's why we have WeakMap. Okay, this is the first reason. Okay, why not object? Okay, second one, map. Why? When we have map, you can use object as a key. You can use any type as a key, like a symbol, map, object, numbers, okay, as a key. Why do we still have a WeakMap? Okay, so here, this part I copy from Mozilla development MDN, okay, network, okay. So map, when we implement, it can be potentially implemented with 2 arrays, one for keys and one for values. Should I implement it for you guys? You can do it. Okay, let me show you. Suppose, but we haven't learned about a function constructor. We haven't learned about the class. I will show you. Okay, you can come back and see later. Suppose I have a class like called myMap. Okay, and then inside here, you can maintain constructor. Okay, and here you can this dot keys, you can use an array. This dot values, you can use another array, and which is based on what he said here. See here, the keys, the map could be implemented in JavaScript with 2 arrays, one for keys, one for values. Here, if you don't understand, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll just show you how. Then you can have what? You can have a set. Set will have a key and have value, right? What you will do is what you do what? You will do this dot keys. Then you use a push and a key. Okay, and meanwhile you use this other keys dot push. No keys, values dot push and value. Okay, and the next one, suppose you want to have a get is by key, right? And you can do is what? You will search the key inside this array, and then using the same index to get the values from this array value. How to do that? Let me show you. Okay, you will use this dot keys. This is array. You can use a find index. Okay, and you will give a key. But this one, this one gonna have some problem. It's better to use a set because no, you cannot use set. Set doesn't have index. Okay, let's just do a simple implementation. Okay, and const index and then equals. It's gonna have problem. I just show you the easy one, because if you have a duplicated key and array doesn't only give you the first one, you have to override, and I will return this dot values, and here I give what? Give the index. I'll just show you these two example, okay? Set and get. So now I have a map, okay? This is my map. I will do a console.log here. Separation, okay? Have a separation. So I know the comment, the print is from after this line, okay? And how to use my map? It's gonna be a similar like this one, okay? So const my map, okay, equals new my map, which is the one I just created. And then you can use my map dot set, and you can give a key. Key is like my name, okay? And the value is miss Xing, okay? And use my map dot set, okay? I use one. One is bala, okay? Okay, and let's have get my map dot get, okay? Get, suppose I use my name, and let's do one more, like a console log my map dot get and one. Let's see if we can get it successfully, okay? So refresh. Where's my name? Huh? Where's my name? Wait, where's my name? It's not a function. Oh, find the index need to give a function. Oh my god, I was thinking why. Okay, so let's change. Okay, don't worry, I can fix it. Find the index. You cannot directly give a key. Okay, you have to give the item. Okay, item equal key. Okay, now let's refresh. Okay, I don't want to go to the source. How can I get to the console? Okay, now it works. Okay, so here, because find the index is a higher order function, it has to give what's thing? It has to give a predicate, which is a callback function. So you give a value, and this one will represent each value, and I compare the value in the array with the key. So now after this one, this is separation, okay, and now I can get the miss Xing, I can get a bala, okay. That is a simple version, okay, which you create a map, use the two arrays. This is not definitely it's gonna be not the same as what it actually implement behind the thing, okay, but you can do. And with this implementation, okay, it has two main inconvenience. The first one is you can this one is related to algorithm. Every time if you push and do something, you have to have on. You have to do a search. When you search, you have to loop. Okay, you have to do a loop. Things like when you set and do a search, you have to do a loop. Here I didn't do. Suppose here, if I set the same key again, like a 2. I didn't do a condition check, okay? Here you have to do a loop, because if I do again, you have to find the key with the name inside the keys array, then update the values. Here I didn't do, okay? And when you also do a search, you also need to do an iteration. That's this one I'm talking about, okay? It have on, which is the way to calculate the time in math, okay? The second inconvenience is a memory leak. When we use map, and if the key is object, potentially it can cause memory leak. What is a memory leak? The memory leak is you have an object being created, which is located in a heap, but you forgot to do the it's never being garbage collected, and this will cause a memory leak. So if here we talk about is when we implement the map use array, okay, and the arrays ensure reference to each key and each value are maintained indefinitely. And this reference prevent the keys from being garbage collected. Because objects are stored in the heap, right? And even though JavaScript has a default garbage collection, but because we have a reference inside the arrays, it will prevent them to be garbage collected, and which eventually will cause a memory leak. Even though there is no other reference to the object, it can also not garbage collected. This will prevent the corresponding values from being garbage collected. Okay, this is same as this sentence, right? And now let me show you example. Then I will explain again. Okay, using a diagram to show you guys. First, I will show you COG. I have a separator. Okay. One. Let me do like this way. This one is a separator. Okay, then I will have more demos here. Suppose now we use a default map, okay, and which is map equals new map. This map is the map which is JavaScript give to us, okay, and this is one we just created. And we have suppose here I have a John. Let me use P2 equals have a name which is Miss Xing is me. Okay, now I use a map dot set. I use P2 which is this object as a key, and the value I will give hi. Then we give we can print map, we can also loop the map, doesn't matter. So here you will see the hi is being added in the map, right? Now I will do like this way, P2 equals none. And this one will do what? This one is will make this no pointer point to this object except inside map. But now if I do a loop, let a key of is entry or dot entries, okay, not map keys, okay. We can let me use entries. If I remember correctly, map will directly give entry, right? Is it correct? Let's try. Okay, COG entry 0 and entry 1. Okay, now let's see. Dot not okay, entries. Now let me do like this way. Assign to constant. This one I didn't read the error. This one is because the P2 already assigned. This one should be a let. Okay, now let's see. Okay, now okay, we can see even though here P2 I give a none, and then you can still loop, you can still get the keys, you can get the values, and this will cause what's the memory leak. Let me explain. Use one note to you guys. Okay, here I have one note. I cannot make it to here, so what I will do is I will exit from the full screen, and then I will do like this way. So the code we just wrote is like this. I will copy the code to here, and I will remove the console log. Okay, just do this is 3-step. I don't need to have the 4. I only need this statements. I copy to here, and I will make this one to be larger. Yeah, too large. Okay, this one I think you guys can see it. Okay, this is the code we wrote. Now let's take a look at what happened inside inside the memory. I have to pull I'm not sure about the screen. Okay, now because I pull I also unplug the camera. I hope nothing is wrong. Anyway, I will continue. I pull this one because my things. Okay, plug again. Okay, now it works. So in the memory, there are two locations. One is stack. One is what? One is stack. One is let me see. Okay. Okay, like this. Okay. One is stack and one is a heap. So here in the memory we have two locations. One is stack, okay, and one is a heap. Normally I draw like this way. You have to understand about the memory management a little bit and also garbage collector. I actually, before I recording this video, I created some slides about memory leak, and then eventually I remove them because this can be memory management and the garbage collection can be a separate video, so I removed. So here I just give you a brief introduction, okay? Because we can spend several videos just talk about memory management and garbage collection in V8. It's very complicated. So here I just give a very simple. So what happened is for all the objects, okay, these are the dynamic size. They are not put in the stack, they are put in the heap. And so here we will have a map. This is a map, okay, we created, and in the stack we will have a reference. This variable, okay, map, okay, we'll have a reference point to this object, and this reference is a strong reference. And now we have a P2 here inside this heap. It will another location. We have another object which is a name, is Miss Xing. Okay, and when we do here, we'll have a P2, and we'll point to here. Okay, and now if we do the map set P2 high, this kind of like what? This kind of like in the map here, inside this heap, in the map here, you kind of like have what's the key part. Okay, you have a key value part, right? Key value, right? You can think of the key part also point to here, point to this object. Okay, now we do another step, which is this one. This one is P2 equals none. P2 equals none. P2 equals none, which means this link is lost. This link doesn't exist anymore. And in this case, after that, in this case, this one doesn't exist anymore. So how about this object? Now this object, besides the map, okay, the key, point to this object. There's no other variable point to this object. And when we talk about a garbage collection, and if an object doesn't have any object point to it, the JavaScript engine will do the garbage collection. And when we do garbage collection, this space can be free and can be reused, right? But in this case, here in the P2, there's no object point to, for this object, name, Miss Xing, in the heap, there's no object point to it. But because we use the key in the map, so this object is cannot be garbage collected, and it's gonna be inside the heap, kind of like a forever in this case, okay? And this space cannot be released, and eventually gonna create the memory leak. Because if you have so many objects like this cannot be garbage collected, and that's the heap, the size we cannot say it's infinite, right? Eventually you have no memory to be used for store more objects, and your application or your program gonna be slower and slower because you don't have memory to be used anymore, right? So this is a problem of the map, and that's why we have what thing. That's why we have the weak map. Okay, weak map doesn't have a strong reference, but in the map we have a strong reference, which is this reference is a strong. I can explain using another diagram. Okay, let me explain using another diagram, not using this way. So we can think like this way. Okay, the same code. The same code here. Let me explain using another diagram. Okay, not using this one. We can using another simple one. I just thought about it. Okay, so here we have a map, not use a stack and heap. Stack is very simple because stack you don't have a garbage collection, because when the stack is down, it just pop out from memory. The operating system will management. And here this is our map. Okay, this is another diagram. Okay, to explain, this is our map. In the map, you're gonna have what thing? You're gonna have a key value pair. But at the beginning, our key value pair is empty, okay? And now we have an object. So this one is our object, which is the name and mix xing. This one is the name and mix xing, okay? Name and mix xing. And this p2, you can think is a pointer to here. This is p2. This is p2, which is a point to this object created here, okay? This is our object. And now we have map set p2 high. This is gonna do what? This is gonna have a key here, okay? Key 1, which the value is a high. And this key 1 will be point to this object. And this is, we will talk about the next slide. It's called a strong reference. And now we have p2 equals none. P2 equals none, which gonna be this line doesn't exist anymore. And now, but here, P2 is not, but here in our map, here which also point to this object, this key, still point, because when you do not, this line doesn't exist, but this line still exists. And that's why when we use a loop and when we use a console log, you can still see this key value pair existing inside our map. Okay, and this object cannot be garbage collected because it's referenced in our map. Okay, that's a problem. And you can only use a loop to get it. You cannot use a get to get it. You cannot use a has to get it, because currently this p2 point to a none. You cannot get this object anymore. What I mean is like this way. Now this p2 is none, right? And after being is none, you can only do the loop to get this key. You cannot, suppose I use what's the map.get p2. You cannot get it. Yes, not this way. Okay, p2 dot get. After no p2. What I'm doing here? Map dot get p2. Before I set this p2 to be none, we definitely can get it. And now let me open in the browser. Okay. Where's my that one? Okay, I'll open another one. Now if I do the first one you can see I can get it high. But now if I using p2 equals none, you cannot get it. This one is obvious, right? You can get it undefined. You cannot get it because it's point to a none. And the people will say, okay, I do like this way. Name miss. I will do like this. I'll copy paste. Okay, I'll copy this one. I'll copy this one. Now I will refresh. You will still get it undefined. The reason is why? The reason is this object and this object, they are two different objects. You understand? They are two different objects, okay? And the address is different. And in the key, let me explain this one, okay? Let me explain this one. In here. So what we did here, we add 2 lines, right? After this line, I suppose I want to get this one. Now I have to use another what's the thing? I have to use another diagram. This diagram is also fine. Okay, it's fine. I'll use the same one. Okay, suppose now this P2 is this one is being removed, right? After I give none, this line is being removed. Okay, this line doesn't exist. Okay, now I do the last line, which is this one. Map.get get this object. You probably think this one is the same as this one. It's not, because this will create another object. It will create another object, and will have a name, and it's a miss Xing. Okay. And then I use map.get this one. So your map in the key, I don't have any reference point to this object. This one is a point to this object. So when I use map.get name Xing, you cannot get it. You cannot get this value because this key is a point to this object. It's not point to this object. Okay, that's why. And as we know, this object, because no other object point to this one, it should be garbage collected. But because in the map it has a strong reference, this one is called a strong reference. It cannot. That's a problem. Okay. It will cause the memory leak. So here we have another, this one, which is the strong reference versus the weak reference. And a strong reference in JavaScript is a reference that prevents an object from being garbage collected. It keeps the object in the memory, and which will cause the memory leak. Memory leak occurs when a program creates memory in the heap but forgot to delete it. In this case, because in JavaScript, the memory created in a heap, we don't manually manage the memory. Okay, we don't manually delete it. The garbage collection will do it. But in this case, here, it prevents object being garbage collected. Okay, the garbage collection cannot do it, and which will cause a memory leak. This consequence of memory leak, it will reduce the performance of a computer by reduced amount of available memory. Eventually, in worst case, too much of the available memory may be allocated, or part of the system device stop working correctly, or the application will fail, or the system will slow down. That's a problem. And think about it. Inside an array, you have inside a map, you have so many objects as a key, and besides the map, no other object point to that. And those objects but still will keep it in the memory because you in the map the key point to that, right? And in the WeakMap, we will use weak reference. Weak reference doesn't prevent the referenced object from being reclaimed or collected by the garbage collector, even if it is only referenced by the object in the memory. Even if it is only the reference to the object in the memory. This one is it is what is a weak map. Okay, let me show you an example. So here I will do a very simple one. Okay, very simple one. Is here first I will print the map. Okay, as we know, after we set p2 equals none in the map, you can still get this one. Okay, I will do here and okay, now you will see the map still have object and have a height, and the only thing I will do is I cannot do like this way. First, I will change this one to be WeakMap. Okay, and then first one I will not do like this one. Okay, I will first change this one to be map, and I use a print the map. You will see the same thing. Okay, and refresh. You will see WeakMap, and you will see this object. And I will do something special. Yes, I will use a set timeout. you will learn this one in the future. Set timeout will schedule a task which will happen in the future. I will do is after 10 seconds, I will make this P2 equal none. Then I will print it. You see the difference, okay? So here, I will do, and I will give 10 seconds. This is 1 second. This one is 10 seconds. Don't worry. You just be familiar. Just look at the behavior, okay? I will do is P2. I will make P2 equals none here. Then what I will do, I will use a console log map again. And this map is what? This map is a WeakMap, okay? Now I will print the first one I have. This is line 76, and after 10 seconds, we have to wait. No, it doesn't give. I will do later. I will do here, okay, because it doesn't respond immediately, okay. I will P2 equals none. Do like this way, okay. Now let's do one more time, okay. Now after 10 seconds, let's see the WeakMap again, okay. Okay, see here. So take a look at the beginning in line. Let me make it like this way. Oh my god. Okay, I will use this one. Okay. At the beginning in line 76, we will see the P2, the high, the key value pair. Oh, it's also removed, even though here it has. Okay, here you will see it has a high, but after 10 seconds, after I make this P2 equals none, this entry, this map doesn't have anything inside, because weak reference will do is the P2, this object miss Xing, no one is point to that, and after when we say P2 equal none, because no one is point to that, the garbage collection will collect the memory, so there's this line is being removed from WeakMap. That is this one. Now if I change this one to be map, you won't see it's being garbage collected. You will still see inside the map you have this object and have a high inside it. So here I have map is 1, and after 10 seconds you will still see map has 1 there. See here, you will still have this one there. And that's the difference between WeakMap and a map. Now let me explain the same thing inside the note again to you guys. Okay, so what we just did is what? Let me erase all others, and I will change this one to be WeakMap. Okay, what I will do is I will remove this one, and now I will make this one to be WeakMap. Okay, and I will explain in the inside the stack and heap probably. Okay, I will do use. Let me remove all this one. I will do like this way, probably is better. So here we have a stack, okay? Still we have a stack. And here we have a heap. This location is our heap, okay? Let me use, not using this one. This one. This is our heap, okay? And first one we create a WeakMap. I will do like this one. This time I will change a little bit, okay? This is our WeakMap, okay? This is our WeakMap. And WeakMap also is a key value pairs, but the keys must be an object. Okay, so here we will have a map, which is a point to here. Okay, you can think like this way, which is the first line. And second line, P2 equals name Xing. And in this case, here we will have an object, and which will have a name, and the value is miss Xing. This is the second one. And then we will have what? We will have a P2 point to here. Okay? We'll have P2 point to here. Now we use a map.set P2 and high. Okay, and this is gonna do what? This is gonna do is inside here we will have a key. Okay, and this key will be point to here. This key will be point, but this key now is a weak reference. Weak reference, and then the value is a high. The value is a high. Okay, the value. Okay, and now because this one is a weak reference. That's a different thing from the map. Okay, now what we do is next line, which is this one, P2 equals none. When we do P2 equals none, what's gonna happen is this line doesn't exist anymore. This line doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so now let's take a look at about the heap. In the heap now, do you see any other variable which is a point to this object? Besides the map, WeakMap, we don't have, right? Take a look at it in the stack. Do I have any other point to here? No, we don't have, because so far this object name is Xing inside the heap. Only the WeakMap will point to here as a key. So in this case, in WeakMap, okay, and when the garbage collection, this would be in young generation. Okay, in young generation from young generation, the garbage collection will do what? In V8 will do, okay, this object, okay, what I pointed here, besides inside the WeakMap have a reference to that, there's no other variables point to that. Then what's do? Garbage collection, okay, say, well, okay, this one is a self to remove from the heap. He will remove it. And when it remove from the heap, also this one will remove from the WeakMap. Okay, this is a WeakMap do. It doesn't prevent an object being garbage collected, and this is called a weak reference. Okay, this reference, the green one, is called a weak reference. And eventually, your heap, the memory is being freed, released, and you can use to store other objects, and it doesn't cause the memory leak. Okay, that is a WeakMap. Let me explain again. Use a map. Okay. So here I will do is I will change this one to be map again. Okay, to be map, and let's do one more time. Okay, to compare again. Okay, because I think I didn't explain very well inside the first one. Okay, I think this one is better. Okay, so here I will use this one, and I will remove, and I will do it like this way. Okay, so let me do one more time. Use a map. Okay, heap, and now I change to be map, and in the map, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's the okay, the first line. I create a map. So inside here, I still will have a map, and this map will store key value pair. This is a map now. Okay, and so far it's empty, and I have a map which point to here. And now I have a name object. This name, okay, which is an object name, and the value is Miss Xing. Okay, and now I have a P2 point to it. Okay, and when I point to it, this is second line, and the third line is map.set P2 high. This is gonna cause what? Here we should have a key. Okay, key, and this key will create a what thing? Strong reference. This reference is a strong reference. Okay, and now the value is a high. Okay, and now next line, that's the third line doing. Next line is what? Next line is P2 equals none. P2 equals none will cause what? P2 equals none will cause this line doesn't exist anymore. So now this name object, you can think kind of like this name object. It's in a heap, and no other object or no other variable is a point to this object, right? See here, inside the stack, do we have any variable pointer? No. And except the map have a key point to that one. And because in the map, this key, this pointer is a strong reference. Strong reference means what? Even though this object, no other variable point to that, it will prevent this object being garbage collected. The garbage collector inside the V8 cannot free this memory, okay? And this will create the memory leak. Because why? Because this object, there's no any variable point to that, and you cannot get this value except you loop it. Because suppose I explained, right? And inside this here, if you're using code like map.get, okay, this is lowercase. If you want to get it, you don't have any variable to retrieve the value high. I use P2, you cannot get it. And I use the object like name equals miss Xing. You cannot get it because this gonna be create another object. In this case, it's gonna create another object called name miss Xing. They are different one. And this key is point to the red one, and you create this one is a green one, and you cannot get it. It's high. It will give you undefined. So this object actually is orphaned. It should be released. The memory should be released, but because we have a strong reference in the map, it cannot. So if you have this kind of problem, you should use WeakMap to prevent memory leak. That's why WeakMap is being created. Okay, I hope in this case you understand my bad English. Okay, this is why we have WeakMap. Okay, next slide I want to talk about why not primitive as a keys. Because if we have a primitive type as a key, it can be always recreated and accessed later. And that's not the use case for WeakMap, right? So let me explain, okay? Wait for a second. Here, let me explain. Use here, separate 2, separate 3. Okay, as we know, inside the WeakMap, map 2 equals new WeakMap. You cannot set it. You cannot set using primitive values as key. The reason is why? Because if you use primitive values, you can always recreate. Suppose here I have a const number. Okay, number 1 equals 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me using let, and now I use a number 1 as a key, right? And here, if I use number 1 equals none, doesn't matter, because later on you can use what? You can use what's thing? 1, 2, 3. Get it again. You got me? Because the primitive values you can always recreate it. Here I cannot demo using WeakMap because WeakMap will have error when you set here. See here, you will have error. We can demo use a map. Okay, we can demo use a map. See here, I use a map. Here I use the value is the primitive values. I set it. I I assign to be none. Then I change. I get it. You can always get it using recreate the values. Map 2 dot get. I give 1, 2, 3. Because primitive values, they all stored in the stack. They are not stored in the heap. Here, refresh, separate 2. Okay, you will still get the values because the primitive values, they are compared based on values. They are not compared based on the reference. So even though for this variable you assign to be none, it's fine. You can always recreate and access the values again. So that's not the point of using WeakMap. So if you using if you want to use the primitive values as the key, you can always use a map. You don't need to use a WeakMap, and a WeakMap doesn't support. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, and how are they stored inside the memory? Let me explain a little bit. Okay, the values, suppose the values here is 30. Okay, it's gonna become like this way. In the stack, it's gonna be stored 30. It won't point to the heap. It just stored in the stack. So the primitive values are all stored in the stack with a variable. It's not going to be the heap. So you can always recreate the values and get from the map. Okay, that's this one. Okay, last one is why we cannot loop the WeakMap. See here, in the WeakMap, if I use a WeakMap here, okay, WeakMap here. In the WeakMap map 2, there's no methods called entries and called keys and called values. It only have 4 methods, which are delete, get, has, and set. You cannot get the 4 keys from the WeakMap. It do have a reason. The reason is why. The reason is its keys are not immutable. There is no method to obtain a list of keys. If we have a method to get all the keys, the list would depend on the state of a garbage collection. Because if an object in the WeakMap is there's no other reference to to point to that, this object will be garbage collected, right? And the garbage collection, you don't know when the V8, which is JavaScript engine, do the garbage collection. So in this case, it will introduce non-determinism, because you don't know when garbage collection will collect the object, which no other variable point to that. So that's why doesn't have a loop for the WeakMap, because if you do, when the garbage collection will collect that, when we should show those keys, when we should not show those keys, right? It will print, it will bring, or it will introduce the non-determinism, which is not good. Okay, so in this video, it's a little bit long, and I explained why why JavaScript has a WeakMap. The main reason is because of the memory leak. Because the strong reference in the map potentially will create a memory leak, and it will prevent the object, which is kind of like orphaned, to be garbage collected, and eventually will slow down your performance, because you will have the memory cannot be released and cannot be used to store other objects, and the WeakMap will not prevent the referenced object being garbage collected. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and see you next time. Bye bye.